Hey, funny homies, it's time for episode 19 of season 5 of the Fake Football Guys show. On today's episode, we discuss injuries, ads, drops, and we display some new music, some new drops to show you guys. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back, Fantasy Football fam. It's time for another episode of the Fake Football Guys show. I'm your host, Giancarlo Campos, and alongside me is the best co-host of all time, the number one Bears fan in all the land, Dustin DL Lingerman. What's up, DL?
What's up, my guy?
Not much, man. I gave you the number one title because look at all that stuff you got back there.
Yeah, dude. Well, here, hold on. Let's go to a wider angle. Man, every time I switch this, bam! I got Christmas. I got my bobbleheads. I got my blanket, my pillow.
Bro, the tattoo
I'm ready.
We won't talk about that.
No, never.
Yeah,
I don't understand people who get like team logos tattooed. Like,
it
doesn't make sense.
I understand. I have a lot of friends that have tattoos of the Cubs on their arms, like idiots, making us look bad. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's like. Nah.
Yeah.
Maybe if they won the Super Bowl, I probably would get a Super Bowl tattoo. That'd be kind of dope.
Would you rather have a sports team tattoo or that old barbed wire thing that white guys used to do in the 2000s?
I would go sports team. The barbed wire is always. Even when it was like cool, it wasn't cool. I was like, stupid.
This stuff is whack. Yeah.
And if I did get one, I would get like I'd put like the Hall of Fame players. I'd have like Singletary in there, like Peyton, and then I'd do like a new like Hester. I wouldn't put like Caleb on there, or I wouldn't put like Odunze.
Yeah, right. Odunze.
No. I would just keep it classy.
No thanks.
Anyways, I don't
freaking thanks. All right, y'all. As a reminder, Fantasy Football family, let's remind them, DL, where they can follow us on Twitter.
Tweet FFG.
And as always, the hashtag to use if you're asking any questions, DL.
Ask us, FFG.
That's right. And finally, the email. If that's more your speed, you prefer to send emails, which we have a question this week, DL. I'm not sure if you were aware. But what's that email?
Ask us, ffg@gmail.com.
Awesome. And then the last thing, I can't believe it's been up this long and you haven't changed it.
Nah.
The phone number for voicemails, live calls, for pictures. If you're at a game, throwing back a cold one, you can text it over to the number 773-225-5648. I will memorize that one day. It'll be memorized. And as always, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and
smash
that notification button. That way you know when we go live. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We are on TikTok. YouTube, and anywhere that you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, if you want to send a picture of when you got your sticker to our email, that'd be great. We already had a couple winners, so shout out to Brian. And shout out to Jake, who I thought they were already, subscribe, but apparently they weren't. So
yeah,
shout out to them.
Super fans, right?
We got a couple stickers left. So if you're still interested or interested at all, it's pretty simple how to actually win one. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you grab a screenshot of that, and then send that screenshot over to our Twitter. To our Twitter. Just DM us at our Twitter. And then from there, I'll ask you what your address is, and then we will go from there. So super simple. We got a pretty good bump. So just want to keep it moving, and great holiday gift. It's free. And you can put this sucker anywhere. So it's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie.
It is pretty awesome. Hopefully mine is sitting there nice and warm for me, because I got some water bottles I want to
Merry Christmas. I got you a sticker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
All right, phony homies, we have another jam-packed show as always. But yeah, before we get into that, we do have a question that came to our text line. I'm not sure if you were aware. It comes from our super fan Brian, who asks. He says, "If somebody were to tell you, DL, that the Bears would win 9 games at the beginning of the season, we'd call it a successful season. However, with where they are currently at, does that thought process change? Losing 5 in a row to finish out the season, including 2 to the Packers, would be a terrible momentum downer going into next year, but still miles above last year. What are your thoughts now that you know what this team is?"
So that's a great question because it does change. And I've seen a lot of Bears fans like, we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't think we're going to the Super Bowl. Don't think that. Beginning of the season, I said, hey, man, I just want a winning record. I would think it's a really good season if we got into the playoffs, even if we're one and done. I've said that probably close to every week. Anytime we talk about Bears, that's where I'm at. Like, I just want to make the playoffs, or I want the Bears to. And yeah, if we get the number 1 seed and we get like a little bye week action, cool, even better. But yeah, my biggest thing is that we have our first coach, right? Ben Johnson's first season, and look how much he's turned it around. Did not expect that at all. So, and the guy really, and we'll get to in the news, the guy just keeps going. He's so focused, pressure. He like ignores all the hype. And that's what I like. It's season 1. This is how good it was in the first season. Just imagine in year 2, year 3, year 4, how much better it's actually going to get. And if you're not excited about that, even if the Bears lose, whatever, they lose the 5, they don't even make the playoffs, weird reason, I would still say it's successful. I do. It would suck to lose 2 to the Packers. It really would. I still think we're going to split it. That's my thought process. I'm hoping we sweep it. Them beating Philly definitely gave me like, all right, we got something brewing. So yeah, to put a bow on it, my expectations pretty much stayed the same. I haven't really gotten to that next step or thinking we're Super Bowl caliber yet.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Appreciate that question, Brian. I'll just give you a quick few ones here, DL. I think that anytime new information is presented, we are given the opportunity to change our opinion on things. I almost jumped off the Bears fandom earlier this season. It's there. The video's there for you guys to see it. I'm not going to shy away from it. That happened. And I owned it, and I'll still own it. Apologize to the Bears and Ben Johnson for what he's done and how good they've been. But I will say this. Now that we know that they are a better team than they probably even thought they were, let's be honest. I think anything short of a playoff run would be a disappointment. And not a failure, because they've exceeded all our expectations. But I think at the very least, getting to the playoffs is a must now. It has to happen. And dare I say this, if they can fix the passing game, because Ben Johnson did say, I believe his quote was, he wanted to, what was the quote, deal? I'm sure you remember this. He wanted to be playing his best football come December.
Yeah, it was exactly that. Exactly
during
that.
his introductory presser. Mm-hmm. So it looks like that's exactly what's happening. If they can fix the passing game, even just a little bit, look out. Then you got a complete team, a team that leads the league in takeaways, a team that leads the league in rushing, a team with the best offensive line in football, which has pretty much shown itself now, and a team with a quarterback that I think is on the rise. I think a lot of people are still poo-pooing the quarterback. They're shitting on him, let's be real.
But, oh, yeah. Oh, we got beat by someone who paints. You know what? I'm tired of that, too. We got beat by someone who paints his nails. Like, they're so fixated on the fact that he paints his nails. Here's a secret. Who gives a shit? I don't care. He can wear a fucking bow in his hair. I don't care. That's what he wants to do. Cool. Doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm so tired of that. I really get annoyed by that. It's just like, okay, cool. We're still kicking your ass. So what?
Yeah, the guy with the bow, the guy with the earrings, the guy with the nails, just whooped your ass. Yeah.
Yeah, he whooped your ass. So I don't really know what your point is. Not only that, like, man, there's like rock stars that like paint their nails, and these are the same like
And no one
frat
cares.
boys that go
Yeah.
to those shows and like, yeah, he's awesome. Look at his nails, he's so badass. Oh, he paints his nails. What a weirdo. Like, pick a lane, bro. Not saying everyone, but it's just like I'm so tired of that. I see that all the
Yeah.
time, and then I see like, oh yeah, well you're playing the Packers now. It's like, okay, what else? I tweeted this. I was like, what else does it take? We beat the Steelers, who were like quote unquote a good team, a good defense.
Yeah.
We beat Philly, right? The Super Bowl champs of last year, right? Who have an 8-3 record, or did.
You didn't just beat them, destroyed them,
We fucking
manhandled them.
dog walked them.
Mm-hmm.
Dog walked them. It wasn't even like, dude, when I was watching the game, I was like, oh, I'm like, don't get too excited because, yeah, it's the first quarter. Script always goes. Dude, they could not stop the run.
That's one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Crazy. Yeah.
One of the best defenses in the NFL. Last year, I think they were the best defense in the NFL. And the offensive line took it to them, imposed their will, honestly.
Bro, just moved them out of the way. Jalen Carter, who? Like, they could not stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept doing it. They'd do an inside run, and then Swifty would come out and do an outside run, inside, outside, inside, outside, and then they'd sprinkle in like some play action. But like they just kept doing that. And you'd think that like the Fangio would like change it up and be like, all right, cool. We got to fucking stop this run.
Nope. He got out coached. They got out. He tried. He tried blitzing. He tried everything. He tried going to a different setup, putting 8 men in the box. It wasn't working. So they just got out coached offensively, defensively. They did the little what is it, the little bum, whatever the hell they call it. And Deshaun Wright went in and freaking ripped the ball out. The tush push, whatever the hell they call it. That shit is dead. Let's be real.
I was like, we defeated it.
Yeah.
So there was a couple. I was like, holy shit. Like the pick. I think that was Wright too, wasn't it? Didn't Wright get a pick too that game?
No, that was Bird.
Okay. Yeah. Nonetheless, I was like, who are you throwing to?
Byard. I'm sorry. That was Byard. Yeah.
And not only that, like their offense just looked just atrocious. Like people were dropping, they were missing their assignments. Like Hurts was throwing to the spots and there was like no one there. I was like, what is going on? And then AJ Brown starts scoring. It's like, all right, here we go. It's getting kind of tight. But like, honestly, this is like the first game where my blood pressure wasn't like this high. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, we only have 50 seconds. Oh, I hope something cool. It was like, no, we got them. We got them good.
So, what's the Tyson quote? Everyone's a tough guy until they get hit in the face.
Ooh,
the Eagles got hit in the face, bro. That game started and they got hit right in the face. That was it. So, dude, it is what it is.
Sorry, and I'll get off.
No, you're good.
Even like watching the bench, dude, like you could tell, like just the body language. Like Hurts was just like this the whole time. Yeah, AJ Brown was like the only one who was like, come on, let's, I will give him that. He was like, as much as he does this, he backs it up because he was competing the whole time.
What happened to Saquon?
I don't know. It's so crazy. I think it's a Madden curse. I honestly, dude, anytime it's been proven. The year that CMC got on it, bam, you got both his legs jacked. He couldn't play. Saquon had the best year, probably like Hall of Fame stat.
Last year, yeah, crazy.
This year, what, 3.6 a carry? I was like, Saquon
sucks,
dude. Yeah,
sucks.
God, I don't have them. Anyways,
yeah. Excited for this game this week, DL. Not sure what you're doing. We'll talk about that off air. See, maybe we get together this week to watch this game. It's a massive game.
Yeah, dude. Packers, Bears, let's go, baby. I am like, oof. This gets my blood going. I've yelled at strangers. One time, what was last year when they won? I was like shit talking Packers fans.
Oh my God.
And my father-in-law like literally like hit me, like elbowed me in the ribs. He's like, be quiet. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
like totally like little kid. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to calm down. But anyways, get to the news.
Yeah. Let's go Bears. Bear down. Thanks for the question, Brian. I knew he would get us going right away to start the show. Yeah, let's do it.
That's right. Made that. So just kind of separate things. All right, we're gonna go ahead, start things off, and we kind of covered a little bit of it already. But yes, the Bears are holding the number 1 seed, but Ben Johnson isn't buying the hype. The coach of the Bears is not buying the hype.
The shirtless
So
coach.
here we go. That's right. So Ben Johnson really just doesn't care. Chicago has won 5 straight. The defense leads the leagues in takeaways, and the run game just gashed Philly for 281 yards. But Johnson says, quote, "It means nothing. The passing game is the concern. Caleb's up and down, but they're building him for the long haul." Now, this Sunday, Bears versus Packers, with the number 1 seed on the line, and nothing is earned yet. So just thought that was kind of crazy that the coach is deadlocked, doesn't care, just wants to build a good team. Next, we're going to head over to the Chargers. Justin Herbert undergoes a successful hand surgery. Justin Herbert had surgery on his left hand. He's day-to-day and pushing to play in week 14. Tough SOB. He finished last game with 2 TDs. Even after the injury, the Chargers needed him in. They need him in the playoff race. Expect QB1 to try for Monday night.
And you'll never believe who the backup quarterback is. We'll get to that a little later in the show.
Okay. And kind of just I was trying to go quick with the news just because I know people get bored. But did want to talk about this real quick. Adam Thielen has been waived by the Vikings after requesting his release. He wants a bigger role in what he says is his final NFL season. Now, he's 35. He'll hit waivers and hopes to join a contender for one last run. So kind of crazy because they brought him back. I thought he would just kind of like retire, but if you saw last week's game, that backup quarterback got destroyed. So yeah, just want to kind of show this. This is actually Adam Thielen. His thank you to everyone. Basically, if you want to read it, you can. I'll try to read a little bit. So he says, "Thank you. This is a tremendously difficult for me to write, and certainly not how any of us imagined to go. As a Minnesota native, putting on the uniform over the years and representing the community both on and off the field always meant much more to me. The team is in my bones, it's in my heart, and it's a part of my DNA. I will always be a Minnesota Viking. Since this past spring, I knew this was going to be my last season playing in the NFL. Given that the Vikings allowed me the opportunity to complete elsewhere for the last few weeks of my career." So it goes on and to some other stuff. But my question is this: if it's in your DNA, you're a native of Minnesota, like wouldn't you go down with the ship? I don't know. It's just me. I get it. Like your last season, you're trying to get that ring. You're hoping that like one of the contenders will add you. Honestly, I don't think they will. Just because I mean, there's a reason why they're contending. I don't think they're desperate for a 35-year-old wide receiver. But hey, that's just me. The Vikings also posted something on their Instagram. They said last week, Adams' representation approached the team and asked if we would be willing to release Adam, expressing his desire to play a bigger role in the remaining weeks of what he has indicated will be his final NFL season. Following discussions through the weekend and out of respect for Adam, we have agreed to give him the opportunity to pursue more playing time elsewhere. Adam is one of the all-time great Vikings, and we wish him and his family continued success. So, JC.
Yeah.
Here's my question, right? Number one, like I said, you're a native, blah, blah, blah. But this is a really telling time or telling that the Vikings have no QB.
Exactly.
AJ
That's exactly it.
McCarthy is
Yes.
a bust. And Adam's like, oh, hell no.
Get me the fuck out of Dodge, is what he's saying.
Done,
yes.
son.
That's exactly
done.
it. Mm-hmm.
And
the Vikings agreed.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you're right. See ya, dude.
Yeah. Trade a 5th-round pick for you. Yeah, that 5th-round pick is valuable. You could have got a guy like Kyle Monangai. You know, you could have got good players that have come from the 5th round. Bernard Berrien, guys like that. But yeah, it's basically both parties waving the white flag. It's the Vikings saying, yeah, we're going nowhere quick, and yeah, we don't have a quarterback for you to ride out into the sunset. You can go. We'll give some practice squad guys an opportunity, and we can't even get the ball past 10 yards. So you're right. You could go. And Thielen's saying, yeah, I've been around quarterbacks long enough to know there's nothing here for me. Can you guys just let me? Maybe I can
have it
somewhere. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And like Brian he just stated this. It wasn't about the ring, it's about playing time, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, Brian. It doesn't matter. He's old. He's 35. He's like literally on the cusp of like one good hit or a couple good hits. He's gonna be done. And I don't see where he goes. He's not like a OBJ, right? He's never been that type of dynamic wide receiver. Now I will give him credit for this. He was a walk-on, right? He was undrafted. He had some really great years with Minnesota. I'm not going to say he's like trash and blah, blah, blah. But like my thing to you, Adam, is like, who's going to pick you up? Like you just want to be on a team for what?
You got picked up.
Who's going to play him?
You want to know who claimed him on waivers?
Who? Someone claimed him?
The Pittsburgh Steelers claimed him. They happen to be 6-6 and tied for first in the division in the AFC North.
Okay.
So,
okay.
It worked out. It worked out, right?
Well, kind of, because Aaron Rodgers is a bum ass quarterback too.
Bro, he looks so bad, but at least the guy is there.
Yeah, he's not, and I agree, Scotty. He's really not gonna play. It's like
he's chasing a ring.
Yeah, it's just like I was on the team. It's like I felt bad. It's kind of like when Frank Thomas, Steelers. Okay, cool. We saw that. It's like when Frank Thomas was on the White Sox for the World Series. He was injured the whole time, and he still got his ring, which I was happy for that. But like that's really what he's going for. So I don't know, man. It didn't bother me, but it's also like it's so hypocritical that all that I'm a native Minnesotan and I bleed purple. But your quarterback sucks, so I'm out. I'm gonna go get this.
Yeah. You guys understand, right? Yeah.
You guys right?
Rooting for the team, but I know you guys traded a 5th round pick for me earlier this year, but you guys get it, right?
Dude, like, come on, he sucks. Come on, like, I played hard for you guys. I deserve to get a ring somewhere else, right? Anyways, all right, let's get into those injuries. All right, we're going to get into the injuries. We're going to start things off with quarterbacks. First one up, kind of talked about him already, but Justin Herbert. He fractured a bone in his left non-throwing hand and had surgery. He's officially questionable for Week 14. Even if he suits up, grip strength, snap control could limit him. So it's a downgrade for the passing game. Next, this is kind of more of an update. Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. Daniels is actually questionable for Week 14 as well, as he returns from elbow injury that kept him out for weeks. Coach Dan Quinn said, in quotes, Daniels was ripping throws in practice yesterday, but the team will wait until later in the week before making the final decision. Quinn also noted they're evaluating his functional contact, which really means his ability to stiff arm motherfuckers and absorb contact and make football moves before he can actually play. However, might not be a bad little stash if you're thinking about playoffs, because literally is for most people, this is your last week to kind of get in those playoffs, especially if you're on the bubble. Going over to running backs, not a surprise here. Aaron Jones, the running back for the Vikings, who we were just talking about, suffered a shoulder AC joint sprain and is now week to week. His status for Week 14 is very shaky, so may want to fire up Masson. Alvin Kamara suffered MCL sprain, expected to miss multiple weeks. Rookie Devin Neal became the Saints' RB1. So hopefully you listened to us last week and grabbed him. Omarion Hampton of the Chargers, still questionable with a fractured ankle. Kimmy Vidal should remain the starter for Week 14. However, always look at those updates. We'll try to keep you informed as well, too. So basically, don't drop Vidal yet. Trey Benson. Now, he's been in my IR spot for a while. Still not ready to return from his knee injury yet. So that's kind of a bummer. But in the later weeks, he's looking pretty good if he actually plays. But yeah, this one sucked for wide receivers. This one was a heartbreak. This almost ruined my Thanksgiving. It definitely ruined my week last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions left with an ankle injury and is expected to miss week 14. However, I just saw an update today that it's a low ankle sprain, which means it's a little bit more easier to manage than a high ankle sprain. So there is a chance that he could play. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a tough SOB. Remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago. I think he was playing with like 3 broken ribs or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, JC, but I'm pretty sure.
Correct.
That's true. Thank you. So I don't know about you guys, but if you can play football with like broken ribs, you sure as hell can play with a sprained ankle. They can like freeze that stuff, tape it up. Please come back. I'm trying to win. Anyways, T. Higgins of the Bengals already ruled out of. Oh, this is old for Tuesdays. No, this is old. Anyways, check on T. Higgins. My bad. Let's see here. We're all good there. Tight ends, Noah Gray out for the rest of the season after a concussion. Travis Kelce remains the lone receiving tight end. Backup Michael Mayer of the Raiders is out for week 14 with an ankle injury. And lastly, topping off tight ends is Dalton Kincaid. So he missed week 13 with a hamstring. He's uncertain for week 14, but if he plays, he's immediately tight end 1 option.
Real quick on T. Higgins, he's still having concussion symptoms.
Okay, so it wasn't old. I think I just wrote it weird. I was like, already out for Thursday with a concussion. Oh, I didn't read it all. His week 14 outlook is shaky depending on protocol. So there you go. Which stinks because Drake London of the Falcons, he missed week 13 as well with a knee issue, and his week 14 status is still up in the air. Parker Washington of the Jags ruled out last week with a hip injury and is not expected in week 14. And Marvin Harrison Jr. of the Cardinals suffered a heel injury and is week to week. Monitor practice reports. So, I got to say about this, man, like, holy crap. This is the worst time to have your top wide receivers be injured or not play.
Telling me.
I was dueling it out. I was in second place in my home league. Second fucking place. He goes out and that's it. The rest of my Jason didn't play that well this week. Yeah, it was just rough. So I went from second to like 5th. It totally sucked. I was so pissed. Anyways, I know you guys.
Yeah, you're telling me. I lost Drake London and I lost Amon-Ra St. Brown and I lost Kyron Williams in the same game. So and Kyron came back, but yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, no, I was in that boat too. I had Kyron in a couple of my leagues. I was like, what is going on? I'm like, I'm done. I was like screaming it. I had to like walk away and like turn off the TV because I was like, all right, I can't let this ruin it. Anyways, we got a question from Scotty who said, is Kamara even viable stash on IR if possible? I'm going to say no. I don't think he comes back. I think they're pulling the plug. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's kind of entering the last year of his contract too. So if I was him, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. And they're not playing for anything. So there's no like incentive for him to like hurry up and like rehab and like push through because they're not going anywhere. So anyways, yes, Brian was the one who beat me. I went up against Brian. You know what? Ever since I started this league, he always gets me one game that I like need to win. But Brian, don't forget that last week, third time we went head to head, I beat you for the title. All right, sorry. I
just want to confirm. Sorry for the wrong fake news. Kamara actually has one more year on his contract. Next year, he'll be 31. His age 31 season. A lot of usage on those legs, on those tires right there. Base salary of $11.5 million. signing is $3,100,000. They could restructure it for $4 million and then cut him. So
yeah, because I remember like earlier in the year, during the trade deadline, like a lot of people were talking about like, oh, the Bears should get Kamara, blah 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 blah, and I was like, I know, and then even Kamara said himself like, nah, I'm gonna not about the Bears, but he's like, I have no intention to go anywhere else. I want to stay a Saint. So cool. We are flying through this show. It's awesome.
Oh, we have a lot to go though.
Yeah, we do. That's why I kind of condensed it because I realized I was talking a lot on that. Okay. Anyways, so let's get to why you're here, guys. The waiver wire.
We got a jam-packed waiver wire, and we'll go ahead and get started with the quarterbacks. But before we do that, a reminder to the phony homies at home, the teams that are on bye this week. I can't believe there's another bye week, but the Carolina Panthers are on bye. The New England Patriots are on a bye. The New York Giants are on a bye. And the 49ers are on bye. There's a bunch of talent that you're going to be without this season. I'm sorry, this week. So let's go ahead and tell you who you guys should add and what you guys should do. So at the quarterback position, it's absolute chaos, okay? Absolute chaos. We're going to let you know who you should drop. The first guys you guys should consider dropping are C.J. Stroud, who's rostered in 56% of fantasy leagues. He's got some tough matchups ahead, and he's coming off a 9-point week this past week. Just not really getting production necessary to be considered a viable starting quarterback in fantasy right now. The second quarterback you should drop, and this is going to make Dustin very happy, that's Aaron Rodgers, who's 46% rostered in leagues. He is still hurt, and now he's facing a pretty good Baltimore defense. And then the last guy you should drop, we talked about this last week, that is 38% rostered, Joe Burrow. He has no fantasy relevance moving forward, especially because Burrow is healthy, and Burrow is the QB1. Some quarterbacks you should target. The number one quarterback is going to be a guy that we talked about briefly last week, Marcus Mariota of the Washington Commanders. He's 28% rostered in fantasy leagues. He's got a matchup this week against the Minnesota Vikings, who are the 7th toughest defense to play against. Now, Mariota is back in streaming territory, and this is only if Jaden Daniels sits again with that elbow injury that he sustained a few weeks back. But it becomes an immediate plug-and-play quarterback option. This past week, he put up 27.3 fantasy points in Week 13, and he has topped 20 in 4 of 6 starts. The rushing floor is the reason, and that floor is back. He had at least 49 rushing yards in 2 straight games, and Terry McLaurin finally looks healthy. Add him for at least 5% of your remaining fab. The second quarterback we're going to recommend, not a guy I'm a fan of, but we got to give him some props. That's Tyrod Taylor of the New York Jets. He's only 10% rostered, okay? And he goes up against the Miami Dolphins, those crummy Miami Dolphins in that defense that's ranked 26th. Now, Tyrod surprised everyone this past week with 23.3 points in Week 13, and the matchup gets even better. Miami has given up 21 or more fantasy points to 3 of the last 4 quarterbacks that they have faced. Taylor has rushing ability and a fully healthy set of weapons, and future matchups after this week against Jacksonville and the Saints. Keep that in mind, okay? That could be, make or break for the fantasy playoffs. Add him for around 2% of your fab budget if you're desperate. He's a guy that has a rushing floor and about a 23-point ceiling. So if he's out there, you could do much worse. The third guy we're going to recommend is Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, another guy I'm not a fan of, but is only rostered in 34% of fantasy leagues and 66% of in ESPN. He takes on Indianapolis this week, which is ranked about 15th in defense. Now, it's not an ideal streaming week with Drake May, Jackson Dart, and Brock Purdy all on bye. However, Trevor Lawrence is still available in a surprising number of leagues, and he provides a solid fantasy floor thanks to his rushing production. He's the QB7 in rushing points per game on the season at the quarterback position, and QB3 in that category since week 5. If you're looking to just avoid lemon at quarterback and you're looking to avoid a bad game, he's probably going to be reliable for about 15 fantasy points. Add him if he's available. The next guy we're going to recommend is Tyler Shuck, I believe, of the New Orleans Saints. He's rostered in 24% of fantasy leagues, which caught me by surprise. There must be a lot of Saints fans. His matchup this week for the Saints is against the Buccaneers, who are ranked 27th against QBs. Now, Tyler comes up, and he's been showing flashes. Here's the real reason why we're recommending him. He has 21 fantasy points in 2 of his last 3 games, and now he draws a Tampa Bay defense that's bleeding production to quarterbacks. 4 straight have dropped 22 or more fantasy points. 4 straight quarterbacks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a deep league superflex starter with the Jets and Titans coming up in the future. You could probably get him for $1 of fab budget. So if he's available and you're without Brock Purdy this week, a guy that I would consider. And lastly, an interesting name, everybody. The Los Angeles Chargers are probably going to be without Justin Herbert because that broken hand on his non-throwing arm. So we're recommending you go add Trey Lance, who's rostered in only 5% of fantasy leagues. That's right. And he does go up against a pretty solid defense in the Eagles, who are ranked 12th against quarterbacks this season. Now, Herbert plans to play, but if he's ruled out, Trey Lance becomes the emergency option this week. And the matchup isn't ideal. I know. However, Lance's legs give him a baseline fantasy value that I think is probably better than Mariota's, better than Trevor Lawrence, better than Tyrod Taylor's. I think he is a guy in a super flex league that could go off just based on rushing alone. It reminds me a little bit of Justin Fields with his legs. So you could probably get him in 2 QB leagues for probably 3-4 fantasy bucks. It's more of a deep league ad or an ad in some of these leagues where fantasy managers hog quarterbacks. I'm in a few of those leagues where I don't know why there isn't a quarterback available, but if he's out there, he's a guy that could help. Deal?
Like it a lot. Notice you put Trevor Lawrence on the list this week.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him, but I'm just trying to help the people.
Like it. Trey Lance, I get it. It's just like a flyer, deep league. But man, he's never turned out. I remember when he was drafted and like, oh, he's got to be this, he's got to be that. Oh my gosh, colors out. So yeah, anyways, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm kind of in a QB situation myself, so I want to take a look at these. Here's a question though, since we are getting close to the playoffs, a lot of people may need some bench room. What are your thoughts? I've been seeing this on TikTok. Some guys are like, you don't need to carry 2 tight ends. You don't need to carry like 2 QBs. You can get rid of those. Like either you're going to start them or you're not. Which I somewhat agree with, but I also am just like, what happens if your tight end goes down in like week 15?
Possible. It depends who the players are. Deal.
Okay. Just kind of,
I'll give you an example. In one league, I have Brock Bowers, and my backup tight end is Tyler Warren. I just can't cut Tyler Warren. I can't come to the conclusion to cut him. I just can't cut him. So it depends on who it is. But if that tight end is like Zach Ertz, I would cut him. So yeah.
There you go. Scotty's giving you some flowers, bro.
Thanks, Scotty. I'm a man. I'm a man of the people that take off my shirt.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Okay, we'll say that to that. All right, let's get into those running back waivers because I'm sure that's top on the list because running backs are kind of scarce. So once again, JC already said it. I want to remind everyone, teams that are on bye this week: the Carolina Panthers, the New England Patriots, the New York Giants, and the San Francisco 49ers. So might be a little bit desperate. Maybe you want to see if these guys are available in your league. I'm going to recommend like Tyler Algier. He's 74% rostered, 7 TDs in his last 9 games. Flex play and add 1 best handcuff in football. Next, Chuba Hubbard. I should have clipped it. But yeah, Rico Dotto was talking about him. A lot of people are talking about him. He has 73% rostered. Took the lead back in week 13, 124 yards and a TD. Needs to be rostered everywhere. So if he's out there, let's go. Next guy, Jordan Mason, 72% roster. Like I said, Aaron Jones is dealing with like some shoulder stuff. If Aaron does actually sit, Aaron Jones, that is, Mason becomes an instant RB2. He averages about 14.5 points per game, at least in the first 4 starts earlier this year. Next guy, Devin Neal. Should add him last week because he was, I think, 2% rostered. He's now at 72% rostered. Filled in for Kamara with 17 touches. If Kamara misses again, Neal is a solid flex, which pretty sure he's going to sit. Next guy, Bashad Tootin, 71% rostered. Second last week, ETN's handcuff with real upside. Bam Knight, 67%. He's had 3 straight games with 13 plus points in PPR formats, 98 yards and a TD last week. Flex him if Benson is out, which so far, no updates. Haven't heard anything. So these guys are there. Go get them and see if they can help you, especially if you're on the bubble to get into the playoffs. Here's our recommendation for drops, for RB drops, that is. We're going to start things off with Tony Pollard. He hasn't scored since week 5 in 5 straight games under 8 points. No upside, especially since he's going up against Cleveland. Isaiah Pacheco, back from injury, but only had 5 touches. Kareem Hunt doubled his snaps. So, honestly, he's pretty much Kareem Hunt's handcuff, which is really weird. Once again, had a phenomenal year last year, or maybe it was a year before. Don't get it. And I would recommend too, drop Sean Tucker. Why? Because Bucky Irving is back, baby. Tucker is now RB3. So 2 carries, 0 yards, really just no fantasy relevant. So you can go ahead and drop him, fill him with one of these waivers I'm going to mention. Lastly, gonna say it again because for whatever reason, people are holding on hope. You don't have to. We're getting in playoffs. Playoffs is like a reset in fantasy. So if you made it to the playoffs, it's almost like you have to kind of double think about some of these guys. So last, to put a bow on drop candidates, Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt, or Bill, if you will, just hasn't really seen any flashes lately. 4 carries for 0 targets, season low snaps. And he's actually behind Chris Rodriguez Jr. and McNichols. I don't know what the heck happened, but yeah. So, yeah, these guys aren't helping you win the playoff matchup, clear the bench space. So, anyways, moving on. Let's get into your top priority guys you want to target on the waiver wire for week 14. We're going to start things off with Chris Rodriguez of the Commanders. He's only rostered at 46%. He averages about like 5.8 points per game. So Rodriguez found the end zone in week 13, 11 carries for 41 yards. That's 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games. The offense gets a bump, which helps Rodriguez even more. He's worth adding everywhere. I'd spend about 10% of your remaining fab. Next, we're going to go to the New York Giants. We're going to recommend Devin Singletary. He's going up actually against Washington this week. Giants are favored. He's rostered at 45%. He averages about 5.6 points per game. So Tyrone Tracy Jr. left Monday's game with a hip injury. And after the Giants' Week 14 bye, the backfield could shift. If Tracy misses time, Devin Singletary becomes a feature back. He played great against New England, 12 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown, plus 3 carries for 34 yards. He's now put up 17 plus points in 2 of his last 3 games. So even if Tracy's there, he's kind of like the goal line back. So you need points, folks. That's how you win this. If Tracy sits, Singletary becomes the number 2 fantasy running back in all leagues, especially with a dream playoff schedule. So keep in mind, this is who he's going to go up against during the playoffs. It's going to be the Commanders, the Vikings, and the Raiders. So he's definitely worth stashing everywhere. Going to recommend 10% of your fab. Why are you saving it? Now's your push. It's all about pushing for the playoffs. Next, we're going to talk about Blake Corum of the LA Rams. He's actually going against Arizona. The Rams are actually favored by 8.5 points. He's only rostered at 39%. He averages about 5 points per game. Honestly, it's because Williams is obviously the lead back. However, Corum had a strong week 13, putting up 81 yards and a touchdown on just 7 carries. He stepped in when Kyron Williams briefly left with an ankle injury, and he got a preview, and we got a preview of what Corum can do. So Corum has seen at least 7 carries in 6 straight games, even with Kyron healthy, which keeps him in the deep league flex conversation. But the real appeal, if Kyron Williams misses any time, Corum becomes a must-start RB in all formats. The talent and the opportunity would be huge. He's worth adding everywhere for at least about 5 to 10% of your remaining fab. Speaking of Arizona, we're going to talk about Michael Carter. He's only rostered at 11%. He actually has a bigger bump than most of these 2 other running backs at 7 points per game. Keep an eye on the injuries to Trey Benson and Imari Dimercado because Benson's dealing with the knee. Dimercado is dealing with the ankle. If both remain out for week 14, Michael Carter becomes a valuable flex option in deeper leagues. He'll continue to rotate with Bam Knight, but Carter has quietly produced 7.8 points in 3 straight games against tough defenses. So that would be San Francisco 49ers, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay. And over that stretch, he's caught 13 passes for 99 yards on 16 targets, giving him a value, especially in PPR formats. He's worth adding everywhere for around 5% of your fab, and a little bit more if you have a PPR format. Next, I'm going to talk about Ray Davis. He's going up against the Bengals. The Bills are favored in this matchup. He's really the backup, right? So he's not getting that many points, but Ray Davis is the clear number 2 running back behind James Cook, and he's a smart bench stash heading into fantasy playoffs. So maybe if you have Cook, might be a good idea to grab him just in case. He just handed 9 carries for 62 yards in week 13 while working in tandem with Cook. And he's shown real burst whenever he gets touches. If anything were to happen to Cook, Davis becomes the primary early down back, and he could be a legit league winner. Yes, Ty Johnson would still be in the mix, but Davis would get the majority of carries and have the most upside. He's worth adding in all leagues about 1% of your fab. Next, we're going to talk about Ollie Gordon of those Miami Dolphins. He's only rostered at 27%. Ollie Gordon should now be considered the number 2 running back in Miami behind Achane. He's worth stashing in all leagues for about 1% of your fab. If Achane were to miss any time, Gordon becomes at least a flex option in all formats. Jalen Wright also would have a role, but Gordon would still get majority of the carries, especially near the goal line. Points, giving him the highest upside in the backfield. And then we're going to head over to Baltimore. We're going to talk about Keaton Mitchell. He's rostered in 10% of most leagues. With Justice Hills on the IR due to a neck injury, Keaton Mitchell steps in as the number 2 running back behind Derrick Henry. So if you watched that Thanksgiving game, you saw a lot of Mitchell. It's crazy. If you got an open roster spot, Mitchell is a smart stash for about 1% of your fab. And here's why. If Henry were to miss any time, Mitchell becomes at least a flex option in most league. He's seen a bump in touches immediately. He's a low-cost bench stash with real upside. Next, we're going to talk about Malik Davis. He's actually going up against the Lions. The Lions are actually favored by 3 points in this game. It's only rostered about 2%. Malik Davis has now locked in the number 2 running back role in Dallas behind Javonte Williams. So it's a Thursday night game, FYI. And even if the Lions are a tough matchup, he's still worth stashing in all leagues about 1% of your fab. If anything were to happen with Javonte, Davis would instantly become at least a flex option in all formats. So there you go. Those be your running backs. Any questions, concerns, options? What do you think?
I think right now for teams that are in an enviable position and have already clinched playoff spots, teams that are going to get a first round bye, I think right now is the time to look at your roster and evaluate schedule. Look at your roster and evaluate matchup. Look at your schedule and evaluate standings for teams. I'll tell you right now, teams that have 9 wins, 10 wins, when they get to week 15, when they get to week 16, they're not going to play their starters if they're clinching divisions, and they're going to get in the real NFL. If they get home playoff bye weeks and whatnot. What they're going to do is play the young guys, the rookies, the second-year guys, the backup running backs, guys like Keaton Mitchell, great name, guys like Dylan Sampson. For the Browns, they have even teams that are bad, teams that have nothing to play for. They're going to think about the future, and they're not going to start their first round, second round draft picks. They're not going to play them. They're going to split carries or limit carries once the second half starts of games. Mm-hmm. So guys like Dylan Sampson, again, Keaton Mitchell. You can name a bunch of running backs that are going to be guys like that. Just because it's a volatile position, a position with tons of injuries, a position that they're not going to want to trot their best guys out. I'll give you another name, Jaleel McLaughlin of the Broncos. A guy who just took the number 2 running back position away. He's a backup to RJ Harvey, who was the first round draft pick for the Broncos. It wouldn't surprise me because the Broncos are doing really well, if week 15, week 16, week 17, don't forget we have 18 weeks. If in one of these weeks, Jaleel McLaughlin, plays, gets a lot of touches. Ollie Gordon, the guy that you mentioned, another perfect example. Achane is the franchise. Why risk Achane in meaningless games later on in the season?
Especially the last game.
Him.
Yeah.
Go get him. Jalen Wright.
Oh, I was just going to say, really what you're saying is, a lot of teams are going to start kicking the tires to see what they got. Mm-hmm. But go ahead. Sorry.
Especially at running back. That's the position. And I know it's not sexy. If you look at your wire, you're not going to really see much. Just looking at the wire, I'll name the first few guys that are available in a deep league. P. Ryan, McLaughlin, Krosky, Merritt, Dylan Sampson, Bam Knight, Ollie Gordon. There's only 2 guys in that entire list, maybe 3. Guys that we named, McLaughlin, Sampson, Ollie Gordon, those guys who are going to get looks, I'm telling you. And that's a potential flex play, in the playoffs, in your fantasy playoffs. You might be an Achane manager, and they're going to tell you week 16, they're going to start seeding carries because they want to, preserve Achane. Just watch. It's going to happen. And we're going to say, told you so when we do the show. And who's going to be the beneficiary of that? Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon. So why injure the franchise? Why risk an ACL, an MCL? Why risk a broken arm? Why risk it? You have nothing. It's malpractice for a team that's looking towards the future that has nothing to play for. Plus, their idea is that these guys aren't going to be as good as Achane. They're going to start tanking. These teams are going to start tanking. And, they want higher draft picks. So start thinking about that with your roster move. Start thinking about that.
Yeah, especially as we're heading, literally, like we said at the top of the show, this is the last week for most people because next week is playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. And it's all, you got to go for the goal. So if we're hanging on to Bill or something like that, drop them and grab one of these guys. At least you have a fighting chance. In one of my leagues, I'm dead last. I finally crawled out. I'm not dead last.
I know the league. I'm in it with you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because I just kept hitting the waiver. I was like, all right, one of these guys has to shake out. And now there's some of them are like Devin Singletary. All of a sudden, he was looking real good. And it was awesome. So my point being is, if you made it to the playoffs, there's a reason why. But if you're hoping, and nothing would suck more than if you started at Achane and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, he has an ankle issue. He's going to be out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Soreness. Oh, he hurt his hamstring. All these hamstring injuries that are popping up, Just watch.
like a JJ McCarthy, like, oh, he's in concussion protocol again. Oh, and a backup quarterback suck. Oh, he's going to be good to go for week 14. He's looking really good. He's really progressed, right? So,
Yeah.
it's you're starting to catch on to a lot of these teams like pulling that, which I'm kind of shocked because I was like, hasn't anyone like called him out? Even like when the Bears played the Ravens, right? All of a sudden,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Lamar
Lamar
can't
Jackson
play.
was
Like,
practicing all week. Looks like he's going to start. And day before the game, he's not going to play. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
they practiced the entire week, like scheming against Lamar, only to play a different guy.
Well, they got nailed. They did get fined.
They
for that.
did.
They
got fined. Yeah.
BS.
Yeah. Next time it should be draft picks.
Ooh, here's a good point. Even if McDaniels is fighting for his job, Miami's head coach. Yeah. Because it could just be like whisper, like, listen, you and I both know you're out, bro. It's not gonna happen. And like,
he's probably out.
I would say he's out.
Yeah,
because
the players are not giving up. They're playing for him.
They are playing. They are. I'll give him that. And like all of a sudden, Tua's put together what, like 3-4 games. He's starting to look.
We've been talking about it. I've been
better,
telling people. Yeah. I'll say this. The owners of leagues, the owners of teams, I'm sorry, they don't give a fuck. They know it's a players' league. See you later, coach. They want the next hot shot. They're all looking for a Ben Johnson. They're all looking for, the next big coach, and they want to gamble and take a shot at it. And so, yeah, don't be surprised if
butts in the seats.
These are billionaires with a lot of ego. They don't give a damn. It'll be a turnstile. It'll be a carousel of coaching. Just watch.
That is their fantasy. They're like, I'm just gonna buy a team, and then I'm gonna start putting it all together. Like,
they're playing chess. They're like, you're a pawn. See you later.
Yeah, bye. We got this guy from the Canadian League who's supposed to be real good.
Yeah, you saw how the Bears did Lovie Smith.
Ooh. That was, I swear, that was the curse.
10 wins. Wins 10 games, and they just said, see you later.
Bye. Okay. We're going to get the guy from Canada, Mark Trestman, which probably was the worst tenure of me being a Bears fan. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. He sucks. Every time he talks about growing the football and all that crap, I was like, what are we doing? What?
Grow the man, grow the football.
Dude, I was just like, please get rid of this joker. Like, I knew from jump that guy wasn't going to work. Anyways, it's not a Bear show. So let's talk about those wide receiver waivers.
That's right. Let's go ahead and get started with the wide receivers that you can drop. And there's some notable names here. The number one receiver you can drop is 87% rostered, and that's Keenan Allen. He has 5 straight games of under 10 PPR points, and Justin Herbert is hurt. If you don't want to drop him because you have a really shallow league, that's fine, but bench him. Ricky Pearsall, I know this is going to make DL squirm in his boots. Ricky Pearsall is 84% rostered. You can cut him too. He's been invisible since his return, now on a Week 14 bye, so you're not going to get any production out of him. You can cut Parker Washington, who's been 77% rostered. He's injured. His role is shrinking as a Jags here. Just not a guy that I want any shares in. You can cut Trey Tucker, who's 76% rostered. He has 8.3 points or fewer in 5 of his last 6. Just not getting it done, especially with some of the names that you're going to hear in a moment. I'd rather have some of these other players. And finally, Dustin DL's favorite wide receiver this year, his darling, Tez Johnson, is 69% rostered. He can be cut. He's been too inconsistent, and he has some tough matchups ahead. Now, let's talk about those receivers you should add. The number one receiver you should add is a huge name, a future Hall of Famer, one of the best wide receivers of the last 15 years. That's Mike Evans of the Buccaneers. He's rostered in only 45% of fantasy leagues, which is crazy to me that it's not at least 50, that it's not over that. It should be probably 70. Mike Evans, if he's available, go get him. The Buccaneers take on the lowly Saints. We suggest a fab budget spend of 15 to 20% of your remaining fab. And that's because Mike Evans hasn't played a game since week 7 because of the collarbone that he broke. But Todd Bowles said that Evans could return to practice this week and has a realistic shot to play during the playoffs. When healthy, Evans remains the team's top red zone target and still has a top 20 wide receiver upside, even in a crowded room with Ibuka and Chris Godwin. He won't help much in week 14, but he could be a league winner weeks 15, 16, 17. Keep that in mind. All right, the next guy is going to be Greg Dortch of the Cardinals. We talked about him last week, and he's still only rostered in 17% of fantasy leagues. The Cardinals take on a very good LA Rams team. And we're recommending a fab budget spend of about 5%. And this is only if Marvin Harrison misses week 14. So he missed last time with a heel injury, and Dortch immediately was a very good receiver last week. In the 2 games since Harrison missed earlier this year, Dortch has posted 12 catches for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns and 16.8 or more PPR points in both contests. He's heavily targeted when he steps into a bigger role, and the Cardinals and Rams matchup could quietly be a shootout. Add him wherever you can, especially if Harrison is out. Jaden Higgins is the third receiver we recommend of the Texans. He's rostered in 51% of fantasy leagues, but it's only 1% higher than what we normally go for when we suggest players. And that's because the Texans take on a Kansas City defense that's middle of the pack. We recommend a fab budget spend of about 5% of your fantasy league. And that's because he continues to quietly produce. Higgins has at least 11.5 PPR points in 4 of his last 6 games and is locked in as Houston's wide receiver 2 behind Nico Collins. CJ Stroud has struggled, but Higgins' role is stable, and the Chiefs may force Houston to throw from behind. He's a low-end wide receiver 3 flex option with dependable volume at the very least. The fourth receiver we recommend is Isaac Tesla of the Lions, who's only rostered in 5% of fantasy leagues. And that's because the Lions take on Dallas and might be without top target Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. Now, the Dallas defense is probably the worst in football, the worst I've seen in probably the last few years in football. So the Lions are going to feast. And with that said, Tesla becomes a premium sleeper this week. And it looks like Khalif Raymond's probably going to be out too. So with that being said, because both Amon-Ra and Khalif Raymond missed practice on Monday, Tesla this last week stepped up with a touchdown in week 13 after St. Brown exited the game. And Dallas allows the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. If Tesla, I believe his name is pronounced, operates as the wide receiver 2 behind Jameson Williams, he's a legit flex play for week 14. He's a high-risk, high-reward receiver. Last guy we recommend is Jaden Reed of Green Bay. We talked about him last week, and those numbers did bump up significantly. I believe he was in the 20% range, and now he's at 49% rostered. And that's because Reed takes on a Chicago Bears defense that is susceptible to the big play. Now, Matt LaFleur says that Reed is close to being medically cleared, and if he returns, he immediately becomes, in all 3 wide receiver formats, a must start. I think in 2 flex formats, if you have 2 flex spots, immediately becomes a flex option in those leagues. Now, Reed has 45 yards and a touchdown on 5 targets in his only healthy game this season. The Packers rotate receivers constantly, but Reed's talent keeps him near the top of the target share. If he's ruled out, pivot to teammate Dontavian Wicks. However, if he's not ruled out, immediate must add and must start at the flex. Jaden Reed. A few bonus names. I won't go too deep on these names here. Darius Slayton of the Giants. He's available in 76.6% of leagues. And Slayton's roster rate has understandably slipped, but he's back in a full-time role for the Giants. And on Monday night, Slayton ran a route on 90% of quarterback dropbacks. He has true wide receiver 1 usage in this offense, and he belongs back on the radar in deep leagues, especially with New York likely to be in pass-heavy scripts for the remainder of the season. And lastly, a name that a lot of Chicago Bears fans understand and knowingly have been excited about is Luther Burden, who's available in 92.4% of leagues. Now, Burden hasn't fully broken out, but the underlying usage trends remain encouraging. His playing time has steadily increased week to week, and Chicago is designing touches and plays for him when he's on the field. He has one of the higher targets per route rates on the team, and the talent is obvious. And the Bears clearly want to get him involved, even if the path to consistent volume is currently blocked by DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. Burden is a smart, deep league stash with contingent upside, the kind of player who becomes an instant waiver wire priority if his role spikes or if anyone like Odunze or Moore were to miss time. It's an interesting name, Luther Burden. some deep league stashes. Adonai Mitchell, he had 12 targets in a breakout game of 8 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown last week. Still seeing volume. Devon Vele of the Saints, he had 15 targets over his last 2 games, and he's emerging as a reliable flex play. And finally, Andre Yoshivas of the Bengals is viable again this week if T. Higgins is ruled out. Yep.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I like it, man. Definitely checking Mike Evans everywhere because I have a feeling someone dropped him, especially in a deep league because it is what it is. Or maybe not. I don't know. I like that one. I like Tesla, man. Tesla was looking, he's been kind of like on that fringe. Like every once in a while you see him pop in a game. And then it just goes back to St. Brown and Williams. But definitely somebody that I would want to target. So good job, my guy. Good job. So let's kind of wrap things up or get closer to wrapping things up. We're going to talk about tight ends. So here's some names that you may want to actually check out if they're available. They're between 66 to 77% rostered. That would be Jawan Johnson, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts. I know, but it looks like he's a good name. Zach Ertz and Darren Waller. Man, I actually held on to Darren Waller, so I'm glad he's back. So if they are out there, make sure you grab them. Gonna jump over to the drops. No surprise here. We're gonna say Cade Otton. He's still 75% rostered. However, he's hit a wall. In week 13, he just had 2 catches for 9 yards, and he's now been under 6 points and PPR points in 3 straight games. So, yeah, Sam Laporta. I had to put him on the list because I was still shocked that he's still rostered at 61%. Laporta isn't expected to return during the regular season because his back injury. You can drop him. It's okay. He's not going to come back in your championship game, and you're going to be like, oh, I dropped him. He beat me. He's not coming back, folks. Drop him. Free up that space. Free up that IR. You can do it. And lastly, David Njoku, which we kind of recommend last week, but once again, he's still at 49% rostered. Njoku really has vanished from the offense. Only 3 catches for 11 yards, which is crazy because I want to say maybe it was last year or the year before, he actually helped win a lot of people their championship game because he was that good and a lot of people weren't picking him up. But you can go ahead and drop him. He's got no volume, no touchdown, no upsides. So there's not a winning formula there. So here are the guys that you should be targeting on your waiver after you drop those guys. If you have them, gonna say it again, Bretton Strange, tight end for the Jags, 40% rostered. He's ranked for the year at tight end 8, which is pretty good. He averages about 9.7 points per game. Bretton Strange still stayed hot in week 13. 3 catches, 45 yards, and yes, a touchdown. He's now put up 10 points in 4 straight healthy games. He's easily one of the most consistent tight ends. He's still on waivers. He also gets a great schedule. He played the Colts twice, plus the Jets and the Broncos. And if Parker Washington misses time, Strange could see even more targets. We're going to recommend that you use 10% of your fab. Since people are dropping Njoku, maybe this is a guy that you could pick up. And that would be Heron Fannin Jr. of the Browns. He's only rostered at 64%, so he might be hard to find. But if you find him, grab him. He's going up against the Tennessee Titans, which they're dog water. Like everyone, I don't think I can beat them, but they're not that great football wise. Anyways, he's averaging about 9 points per game. Fannin scored in week 13 for the first time since week 8, posting 3 catches for 43 yards and 5 targets against the 49ers. He's basically the only reliable pass catchers in the Browns offense heading into week 14 versus Tennessee. He's been a steady go-to, 8 points in 4 games of the last 5. And with the volume, he's a low-end tight end 1. once again, we're going to recommend 10% of your remaining fab. Going to head over to Baltimore again. Isaiah Likely of the Ravens, only rostered at 17%. He's actually going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, rivalry game. Kind of like one that's going to happen on Sunday versus the Bears. Isaiah Likely put up his best game of the year in week 13 with 5 catches for 95 yards, and he inches for an even bigger day after a near touchdown fumble. Sure, came against the Bengals, the easiest tight end matchup. And before this, he only topped 3 points per game in PPR formats. But his upcoming schedule is fantastic. Obviously, he's going against the Steelers, then the Bengals again, and New England. All top 8 matchups for tight ends. He has a real chance to finish the season strong. In deeper leagues, Likely is worth adding for about 1% of your fab. Next, speaking of the Tennessee Titans, we're going to recommend Nick Helm. He's rostered at 2%. He is going up against the Cleveland Browns. Browns are actually favored in this matchup. Shocker. Helm had 6 catches last week out of 7 targets, giving him back-to-back games with 7 targets and 6 receptions. He's becoming a real part of the Tennessee offense. He only scored once this year, but he's put up 8 points in 2 straight solid production. If you're desperate at tight end, facing Cleveland in week 14, Helm is a deep league ad for about 1% of your fab. And lastly, going to recommend this guy again, Colby Parkinson. Yeah, said that right. Of the LA Rams, he's only rostered at 6%. Colby Parkinson's tight end streak did end, but he still had 4 catches on 5 targets in back-to-back games with solid usage. He gets at Arizona in week 14. The Cards are a top 10 in fantasy points allowed to tight ends. He'll need a TD to really pay it off, but he's the number 1-3 option behind Puka and Cup. In deep leagues, he's a legit streamer worth about 1% of your fabs. So those would be your tight ends. JC? And you're muted.
I just saw Evans was available in a league, and I have $99 in fab budget, so I'm hyped.
You pushing it across the table?
Only one person has like 80. So.
Oh, there you go.
So hey,
81.
81. Yeah, exactly. 81.
81.
And I'm in second place, so let's see what happens.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You can't take it with you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. We have some defenses to recommend. I'll take the first. You take the second.
Sure.
Not a lot of notes on this one. Just recommending Tampa, who may be available out there. That's because they play the Saints, even though Tampa's a bad defense. Yeah. They have Vegas has Tampa winning by 17.5 points last time I checked. So I'm guessing the defense doesn't play bad if Vegas is putting a line out there like that. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Go against BS team. Get it.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we're going to recommend the Washington Commanders. Why? Because they're playing against the Minnesota Vikings, which has just been a death trap for Justin Jefferson. I feel bad for him, dude. I thought about bad for him.
Put him down as a drop. I thought about it.
Yeah, I mean that. I don't think I could do it.
Bowman, Bosman,
Bo something. I don't know. So, anyways, the Commanders going against them. You saw what Seattle did. Yes, they get JJ McCarthy back, but let's be honest. Ever since he did that 9 thing, he's been a meme. That's the only good thing that's come out of that.
Boy,
because he is not there. Not saying he's never going to get there, but he's not going to be there against the Commanders.
It
is looking like a bust among busts. So fire up the Commanders. They're worth it.
That's right. Phony homies, that's it for today's episode. Remember to shoot your starts and questions to us by tweeting us at
Tweet FFG
and use the hashtag
AskUsFFG.
And as always, if you have any email questions, send those to us at askusffg@gmail.com. And finally, DL, that phone number for the hotline for people to ask fantasy questions. What's that number?
Area code 773-225-5648.
That's right. Thanks for
Charges.
tuning
Actually,
in.
if you call it, you're going to
Uh-huh.
get charged like 50.
Oh, shut up. No, they're not. Don't even tell them that. Thanks for tuning in, phony homies. Thanks to DL for his fantastic fantasy advice. My name's Jake. Another episode.
Smash!
That notification button. That way you know when we go live. You could do the outro. We can run it.
I think it was cutting you off. That's why. Anyways, let's get back to it. Hey guys, we love you, and we're gonna beat the shit out of them Packers. I call them Pack-tards, and yes, it's not right, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Bear down. We got this. Remember to
Bears
like
win.
We got this.
Bears win 24-17.
I like it. Bears by a million trillion.